Warning, what you are about to see is just some guy in a garage. He's not an engineer or even a mechanic. Please take all safety precautions such as safety glasses and any other personal protective equipment. Keep a fire extinguisher on hand. Mixing flammable liquids with electricity can be deadly. This video is a guide for those who know the risks and are willing to accept responsibility for their own safety. If you choose to do this conversion, you do so at your own risk. Otherwise, this video is for entertainment only. Enjoy! How did I get something this cool for $200? In this case, it's because of ethanol frustration. The previous owner realized he was going to have to clean the carburetors and tank again just because he left a little ethanol in it for a couple of months, so he sold it cheap. Ethanol is hygroscopic. It attracts water. The water droplets react with the alcohol and gasoline to create tiny brown glue balls that come up the slides first and then the jets. There's a lot of great motorcycles sitting all over the world because of this. At one point, there were 130 Goldwings a day being manufactured, and people paid a lot of money for them. Even if they don't run, they don't want to let them go, so they're sitting around in people's backyards and sheds with the same story. Need to clean the tank out and rebuild the carburetors. Well, that's why I call it ethanol frustration, because you can clean it out all you want, but if you leave ethanol gas in the tank for more than a month or two, you got to clean it out again. Since 2005, Americans have been struggling to keep our classics roadworthy. Thankfully, there's an easy way to deal with it. This is what I do about it. This is a Solex 34 PICT3 clone, German technology from 1971 and cloned by Chinese companies. We can get them for only $60. And it works. It seems to sip whatever cheap gas is in the tank and not complain. Of course, I run a good fuel filter and I change it with every oil change. You can take your tank off and clean it if you want to, but I've never had a problem with just flushing it and hooking up this system. And I've seen some dirty ones. So rebuild your factory Honda carbs and get those slides nice and clean. Take the back half off your bike and clean your tank, and then run ethanol-free gasoline and you'll be fine. But if you choose conversion, you're going to lose 10 pounds from the top of your engine. You'll never have to sync carburetors. You'll have an automatic choke and an automatic fuel cutoff to prevent hydrolock. The adjustments for this system are very simple. The carburetors that I use have proper jets already installed. There's a great video linked below to show how easy the adjustment process is. After that, you'll forget it's even there, except for when you're in the turns and you're dragging pegs because you got that weight off the top of your engine. You can really whip it around. It makes a difference, believe it or not. This nylon intake manifold needs no heat like the metal ones do, and it's very durable. It'll never rust, corrode, or melt. It's high temperature and high impact material. This is the same material that intake manifolds have been made from for 30 years now, and this is designed for great flow. This entire kit will only cost you $329 plus shipping and 2 hours if you know what you're doing, maybe 2 weeks if you don't. Subscribers get $30 off for a limited time. It comes with the intake manifold, carburetor, air filter, adapter, air filter, bolts, gasket, and throttle cable barrel. It also comes with a 14-day money-back guarantee and 30 days exchange. All you would have to do is pay for shipping to send it back to me. This bike is my new carburetor testing instrument. That's why I put the gauges on it. If you're interested in doing this conversion, here's my technique for installing it. Let's go over the tool list real quick. Off camera on the wall is a fire extinguisher. We've got safety glasses, 8mm Allen, 6mm Allen, anvil cutter, anything with an anvil cutter, needle nose pliers, number 3 Phillips, long straight screwdriver, crimper, pry bar, number 2, foot long number 2 screwdriver. Got an extension, ratchet of your choice, 13mm, 12mm, 10mm socket, 12mm, 10mm, 8mm wrenches, wire, fuse link, ring terminal, 2 blade connectors. These might be optional, and this might be optional, up to you, but this is what I used. All right, guys, pop your battery cover off. Number 3 Phillips will take your battery out, or a number 10mm socket or wrench. Negative first. When you're taking the battery out, always negative first. Safety reasons. This is a 6mm Allen on the right side of the seat. Left side is 8mm Allen. And that's the assembly to move the seat back and forth. And here's what it looks like. This is the thing that lets you smack the seat towards the back. It'll slide out from under the faux tank or the shelter, whatever you call it. Now this has 3 screws in this front panel, 3 screws in the opposite side. they are symmetrical. That's the bottom one. Now, 10 millimeter nuts here, 2 of them. That's a hidden screw that we'll talk about later. But basically, I'm just raising the fairing up a little bit, and I'll show you on the other side more specifically. But it's symmetrical. It's like a mirror image.
And that's where that screw was.
All right, 10 millimeter, same thing. I'm going to use a pry bar to raise it up just a little bit. And I'm going to use my needle nose pliers for a wedge because these two, number 2 screws right here. And it's the same on both sides, like I said. Now here's the hidden one. See that? You got to get that out. And I used a long screwdriver, about 1 foot long, but you might be able to do it with a shorter one if you can get your fingers in there. This is the front bolts to the flow tank or the shelter or the gas tank, whatever you happen to call it. These are the 2 back bolts. They are 10 millimeter, just like the front ones. Get your glove box out of the way, and you got to spread this a little bit with your hands to get it to clear everything. Keep working, it'll come up. All right, air filter. Take the top off. I got lucky, I got a brand new one in there. Look at that. That's like finding a $20 bill. All right, 10 millimeter, 2 of them. That's what holds your air box down to your carburetors. These 2 10 millimeter bolts right here. Now, the air box, you gotta push it forward and then lift the back up. Wiggle it, and then you can lift the whole thing out. Plug wires, a little tricky. Gotta tuck them up through there. I suppose you could do this without tucking them under there, but it's worth the headache to get them out of your way. Here's a good look at it. All right, prop them up out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to take these 8 bolts out right here. 4 down each side. Here's a mistake I made. I should have taken these boots off. Here's the fuel line. And taking the trim off here. Get it out of the way. Now I took these boots and I just, you got to unloosen these clamps here. I turned the boots upward because sometimes you can get the carbs out just as easy, but I wasn't thinking. I should have just taken them all the way off because they got to come off anyway. But I turned them up and ended up taking them off. All right, pop this vacuum line. And now I would advise you to go ahead and take those 2 caps off the top of the carburetor right there. Just on the one side, because it makes it so much easier. Now look at this. Here's a better, I'll show you a better view of this, but basically I'm taking the cables loose. I didn't have here's the better view. The carbs are already out, but we're going to go back. So it's a 10 millimeter nut. There'll be 2 cables there, a push and a pull.
Anyway, what you have to do is take a wrench.
Pop that 10 millimeter nut. And then you can slide that cable housing out and bend it around and pull that little thing out of the notch. Next thing you want to do is cut, well, like I said, take those caps off. I did it a little bit weird because I was already halfway out. And then I remembered, oh yeah, these caps need to come off. Just easier. Get the springs out. And you can slide it straight out. You got to still wiggle it a little bit. And it'll come out. Just be patient. This is way easier than a 1200. All right, clip the cable. Just cut the end off your cable. That little cylinder needs to come off the end. And now this is your new cylinder, which is, they term it as a throttle cable barrel connector. That's what Volkswagen calls it. But you need to go ahead and do this up here outside of the engine bay because it's difficult to do it in there after the carburetor is bolted on. There's nothing stopping you from putting it on right now. Hold it with the needle nose. And this is a number, I think it's an 8 millimeter, but you can use a 5/16 with that either way. All right, cable's attached. Thread that all the way down. All right, now gasket. This is me showing you what you got to do in the engine bay, but um, with this type of intake manifold, it's tricky to get the nuts on, so you have to leave a little bit of space between the carburetor and the gasket just to get the nuts started because of the length of the studs. But that's how you do it right there. And that's the old school intake. This is the new intake. It's 3/4 of an inch shorter, and the center line is a little forward this time. So if you got that kind of intake, the new style, you take these studs out. Now remember, this is all taking place down there in within the frame, the engine bay, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget your gasket. But anyway, I'm just showing you up here what I'll be doing down there. So I'll be starting the screws, get them both finger tight, and then ratchet. And you don't have to crank down on them. There we go, the cable. And this is how the cable lays in there. If you take one hand and open the butterflies like that, then you can take your other hand and just let the cable go in, give it a wiggle, and it should slide in just like that. Now watch watch the action here. Boom. All right. And it's orientated like this. You can run the cable under or over the intake manifold. Doesn't seem to make a difference. All right, now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to do it in place. Here's a pro tip. Tape these bolts into place here so they won't fall out when you put the intake manifold in there. All right, and then I went ahead and put 2 boots on one side and I left them loose. See that? And then I'm going to lay the intake down there. I'm not going to put it in the boots yet because I want to get the carb on first. All right, now I'm going to get the tape out of the way. And don't forget your gasket. And we just tighten those up. First, though, I'm going to go ahead and put the cable into place. See that? All right, cable's done. I'm going to reach under and get my bolts in as far as I can with my fingers. Ratchet. That's a 13 millimeter socket right there. All right, now I didn't show it, but I'm pushing them into the tubes on the left side. And then I'm going to push these two onto it on the right side, the intake turn down tubes. All right, now it's not super easy to push them on there. It's a little tight. It's supposed to be. You just wiggle it and keep at it, man. You'll get them. Put your other 2 bolts in. 10 millimeter. Tighten them up. New O-rings is always a good thing when you're doing this if you can get your hands on some. Plug wires go right back down through. And if you notice, I left that right one a little bit loose. I went back later and fixed it though. All right, now fuel line. While I'm here, mine's electric on this bike because I'm going to use it for testing and stuff. But mechanical is just fine. Just put a filter. Your mechanical pump has plenty of pressure for this carb. All right, that tube, we don't need it. It's from the old air box and it's a drain tube. And these number 2 Phillips clamps, make sure they're tight. And then after you ride for a few miles, tighten everything up again and double check those and make sure they are good and tight. These rubber boots harden over time, and they're a little difficult to work with depending on your environment, I guess. See, I should have left the white cap on top of the carburetor right here, so I wouldn't have to worry about something falling into it, but I just didn't think about it. There's a white cap that comes in the box with the carburetor. That right there. See, okay, 12 volts positive, 12 volts positive, 12 volts negative right there. That grounds your carburetor because you're sitting on plastic and it doesn't ground through the metal. This is my wire for my fuel pump. I'm just hooking it up. And as far as the wiring is concerned, I'm not going to show that. We all know how to do the wiring. If you don't know how to do the wiring, don't do this conversion, or get someone to help you. That's even better. Get someone to help you. Negative last when you're putting it back on. Don't forget that little tube right next to the battery, little drain tube. And get that red boot as best as you can, because that helps a little bit, helps you be safe a little bit. Now I'm going to double check everything and go ahead and fire it up. My electric fuel pump will fill up the float bowl, but if you don't have an electric fuel pump, you can prime the to get your. Now I'm checking to make sure that the accelerator pump is pumping. If not, I'll let the fuel pump run a little longer. All right, now we're going to reverse the process. Pry that thing up, put my needle nose pliers in there, put that piece back in, and same thing, I'll show you better on the other side. All right, pry it up. I did catch it, yes. Pry it up and put my needle nose in there. And here's the piece. There's a good shot of it. Look at this. Goes in just like this. And it's the same on both sides. And once you've gotten rid of your stock carburetors, these two pieces can stay in there no matter what else you do. You can take that whole assembly out without bothering with these two pieces anymore. And as far as this is a foot long screwdriver, sort of 10 inches, maybe 12 inches. All right, tighten up your nuts here, 10 millimeter. And I'm going to leave the front bolts out of my flow tank, but if you're putting yours in, you got to put them in before you put these two panels back on. See how it hooks in? Watch this. It hooks into that metal. See that? It's two little hooks and then the 3 screws. But yeah, if I was putting my bolts into my flow tank or shelter, whatever you call it, I would do it before I put these panels on. But I'm going to be having my shelter on and off quite a bit, so I don't want to go through all this every time I take it off. I'm just going to, you know, and this is how my air filter goes together. Go ahead and adjust your choke per the video linked below before you put the air filter on, and then adjust everything else after the air filter is on, because the air filter is going to make a difference in your mixture. A small difference, but still. That didn't even need to come out, I don't think. All right, let's make sure it still runs. Before you put this on, adjust your carburetor, because it might be easier to get to. And I'm not going to show a carburetor adjustment. I'm going to link the video. These are 10 millimeter. And as far as the wiring is concerned, everybody should know how to do wiring. If you're going to take on a project like this, you really should know how to do basic things like those crimp terminals. This slides under the faux tank, and then one side is 8mm, one side 6mm, remember? Go ahead and adjust the seat wherever you want it while you're at it. Put all your covers back on. So now my $200 motorcycle is 10 pounds lighter and worth at least twice as much. Oh no, I forgot this vacuum line.